Hello, everybody, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 20 of Fabrically Speaking Live. I'm your host, Clare Rowley, inventor of the Creative Feet, and also the Octi-Hoops, which is what we're going to use today to do some free motion quilting using patterns, and also I'm going to do some fill-in stitches using the Pebble design and maybe some others. We'll see what you guys think, because when I go live, you guys get to have your own input on what I do. I enjoy it very much, and I'm so glad that you joined us here today. So hi Tina, hi Larry, you were on time if you lived in Arizona. So the time changed, and now we are an hour behind you. So at 3 o'clock your time, it's 2 o'clock in Arizona. And hello, Jessica Cassidy, and my eyesight today. All 5. Myra from Scotland, welcome. Welcome to America via YouTube. So you guys are going to be surprised that I am ready for today. At least I think I am. I had some fun this week. Created this little bag, which is going to be a video that I'll be uploading that's not live, and so you don't have to endure all the live delays, but I'll show you how to install the zipper and how to do the lining. And it's a fabric that I've had for years that I finally had some fun with. Hi Nikki from Pensacola, Florida, welcome back. It's so nice to have you guys all here again. So I want to show you this now, but I shouldn't even have let you know. So it'll be coming up soon. And if any of you were in the live Saturday for the VIPs in the school, I was thinking about finishing the apron that I did last week, the inking on it, in the VIP for a private class. So I'd like your input. You don't have to do it here. In the school, tell me what you want me to show you, so I have a little bit of a heads up before I go live with you, so I have the stuff I need all ready, because we are celebrating my father's 93rd birthday on Saturday. I will be preparing dinner for him and the rest of the family, and we're going to have a garden birthday party for him. So I'm going to want to be on point for our VIP. If you don't know about the VIP, it's in our school. And our free online school is called Create with Clare Rowley. Let's see if I can figure out how to get my... Oh, there we go. We don't want Facebook, we want the school. This is Create with Clare Rowley. And inside of here is where you can share all of your pictures and things that you do if you follow along with the school. And you can ask me questions inside of here. I'm usually down here, one of these little circles down on the bottom left-hand side. You'll see online now, and generally I'm online. But you can also search members by just typing in my name, and it's really easy to know how to spell my name because the school is my name. And then you can post questions to me inside, and then I get to see your questions. And this is the creator groups, and this is where you'll find the Fabrically Speaking Live group, where I posted ahead of time about going live today. And if you do some free motion quilting using the Octi-Hoops, this is where you'll want to post your comments right here under this topic, and it keeps us a little neat and tidy and organized. And on the left hand side you'll see topics, and under topics, and this is the free class, the free part of the school, you'll see patterns, and inside of patterns you're going to find today's pattern that I'm going to be using. It's a PDF file that you click on and you can download it to your computer and you can print it out so that you can do what I'm about to show you. And what I decided to do, because I did do this applique a couple of weeks back. Hi Pearl, hi Christina, hi Sewing with Trifocals. You know, I can't sew with my trifocals. They're in my office and I tried them on yesterday and I couldn't look through them, so I think it's time for new glasses for me. I've been using my readers when I sew, and for the rest of it I don't seem to have a need for it. Hi Nikki, so nice to have you all here. See if I can read any of this. It's nice for you guys to interact with one another, and periodically I will check. I'll do my best to read your comments. Let me see if I can get this light out of my eye. And maybe I can see better. Anybody having storms today? I know they were really stormy in Texas. So here's what I've got going on today. And when you print the pattern, you're actually going to get more of these. I did it on a whole bunch of different sizes. And I was going to print it because I was thinking I might add some of the smaller ones in here and have the rounded Dresden plate is what this is called, but I did an alteration on it. I have smaller Dresdens with larger ones, and this was a really fun lesson. We played around with a trim and sewed around, and then this is actually a denim sewing thread that we just ordered and are waiting for it to come in. You can actually do a blanket stitch with. So I'm going to play around with different colors of threads, but I'm also going to play around with different weights of thread to help you guys to identify the differences between the threads, because I do talk about it a lot and I know some of it's just not sticking for all of you. So I'm going to have you guys help me pick. And what I have here, these are the PolyFast. So these are the really thick threads. They will show up the most. And I don't know. So I was thinking about doing all the petals in one color and then the center in another color. And then notice that I have this pattern underneath and you can't really see, but when you turn on the Caterpillar tablet, now you can see the design through the fabric. And this is how I traced, and I got it all traced earlier so that you guys don't have to watch me trace. So we can just get to the fun part, the sewing part. If you do trace this design, it is easier to do a straight line. Let's see here. It's easier to, whoops. It's easier to draw that straight line and then repeat that. And then after you've done the straight line, then you do the little curve. I found that I did it more uniformed and it looked prettier when I did this. So now that is how I transferred and got all of these Dresden Plate flowers on my fabric. And I don't know how far we're going to get with this, but if I finish it, I'm going to bind it and show you my binding technique where you can do the whole thing without having to do any of it by hand. If you haven't seen the video on how to bind your quilt, it is a featured video inside of Create with Clare Rowley, my school, and it's also in my YouTube channel. And it's a binding with mitered corners, and it says no 100% machine sewn. So, where should I put this? Hello, Better Days. It is always a better day when Better Days appears. So this was last week, and I didn't do the best job on my applique because I was sewing with a microphone and a light in front of me, and I could have done a better job if I only didn't need to have all of these lights in front of you. Okay, so this is not held together by anything, and that is my preference. I prefer to not baste because I find that the fabric behaves better without it. It doesn't want to grab the needle. And I'm just kind of spreading it out, with trying not to stretch it out. And I really should iron before I put all those designs on there because they are heat erase inks. And if I iron it now, it's just going to erase. And one time I did that, actually. I did this complex design on a project of mine. And then I ironed it because I used a fusible batting, and then the pen erased. And then I remembered that if you use this ink before you wash the item and you iron it, the ink comes back, or kind of. It was very faint, but I was able to see it again. And then afterwards you wash it and it never comes back. And these are called the friction pens. So you can see friction, and they erase with friction, and these will be up on our site soon. We have the ones with the erasers on the end, which makes it so you can erase things. This is the needle that I recommend that you use, the 9014 Super Universal, and they also call it a non-stick. So if you did ever use a sticky stabilizer, well, that would be a benefit. And I did just change this needle, so we're good to go. And I'm going to remove my Satinedge Foot, but not yet. So what I'm going to show you is a way to make you feel better about not basting your quilt is to use a foot. And to go all the way around the perimeter with a straight stitch and making sure that you are catching the back and the top of the quilt. Now I measured this out so that I knew that this is where my edge of my quilt, this is where I'm going to cut it off afterward. So if I sew within 1/8 of an inch past that or on that line, then I don't have to worry about not catching the back fabric because I've already made sure the back fabric is sticking out far enough. Try to make it so I don't put my head in there. Today I have kind of like an accent going that I wasn't born with. Y'all know each other now, huh? So I'm just going to sew on the line, and I don't know if you know this about the Satinedge Foot, but if you take your needle in the center needle position and you line it up on the line, you lower that on the line, then you turn the nut on the foot and you move the wire over to the needle. It makes it so that the actual line that you are looking at, when you line up the guide with it, your needle is on the line. So this makes paper piecing easier, and anytime you have to do this type of work. And I'm going to go ahead and increase my stitch length. Take it to a 4.0, and I'm decreasing my thread tension because I don't want to increase puckers. So I'm taking it all the way down to 1 on my thread tension. I don't know if that makes you nervous or creates tension in you to lower your tension that low. Know that it's fine. And don't secure the end because we're just using this as a basting stitch. And watching the front of the foot. I forgot I had my cell phone turned on so that I can view the chat from my phone right next to me so I can see better. Hello, Susan Vetter. Welcome. So this is how we make it. Once we know, first of all, before I started, you saw I made sure my top and my back and my batting were all lined up nicely. Also want to release the pressure on the foot. So so if I take my finger and push underneath, you can see I can lift the foot with my finger. That's a real nice loose pressure on the foot. And that will prevent it from stretching the fabrics out of shape as you do this basting stitch. That is something that you'll want to do when you do stitching in a ditch as well. I did something. Should probably use a little bit shorter stitch length. I'm looking, and it's really silly, but I have these ring lights, and my brain thinks they're magnifying glass when it is not. So when I look through the hole, I don't see better. I see worse. I really need to put my glasses on so that I can see through that hole. And you'll always find the fabric behaves better one way than the other. This is with the grains, so it should be a lot better. But as I'm going, I'm making sure that it doesn't slip. I also like to, I forgot, to put the glue on the edge first. Our basting glue, which is liquid based. And that would stop this. That's why this is happening. It's not really that bad, but I usually don't have any puckering at all. I'm not used to that. We want to be able to remove this easily. I don't usually have my hands on here so much. But I also didn't iron this, so I'm kind of unfolding this crease that I had never really ironed it before I sewed it last week or 2 weeks ago. There we go. I have a pair of glasses for when I make all of your wooden pressers too. Magnifying glasses so I can see any sanding marks and stuff that because I am definitely visually challenged a bit. My son says I'm old. He really didn't, but he said, old ladies wear their glasses. I'm just going to move my needle over instead of fighting this. It wants to write off the edge because Satinedge is for writing off the edge, isn't it? Zoom, zoom. I can go a lot faster when I'm off the edge. If you have a walking foot, you can use a walking foot as well to do that. Almost ready to start the fun part. This is the bamboo batting, so it does have a higher level of static cling than any other batting. Something on my table that's catching. And even though this is the edge of the quilt, I did take the design and go over that line just in case. So there's no stress. So do you have as many pairs of glasses as you have rotary cutters? We had a count of how many rotary cutters everyone had one week. And I think you guys beat me in how many you had. I forgot that I started in here, so I'm just going to cut. And now we're going to use no foot, because that's ideal, to do some of the pebbling. And I really do want to just go right to the flowers. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Want me to start with the flowers, you guys, or you want me to do a little pebble work first? Don't be shy. Oh, you're talking about my design board, which is in my hallway just outside of here, ready for me to install. I had an issue with my knee, and Then it started to get better, and then I fell, and I didn't want to tell any of you guys because I didn't want you worrying. But I am all better. I feel great, and now I can climb on a ladder because I'm going to hang it from the ceiling above, but just beyond me. And it's the blinds that you can buy in the store that are solid, and they're pretty inexpensive. I got a 78-inch wide one that was, I think, the widest that you could get. So it won't allow me to do an entire king-size quilt on it. But after rigging up this room, there's really no way for me to film the complete quilt without completely undoing the room and rigging up new cameras to film. So I'm going to do my best to show you how I will handle it, and know that I haven't forgotten. And I had a feeling one of you would bring it up today. I'm like, no one's bothered me about making that quilt yet, but it's still in a box. I still haven't finished my top because my son and I are working on making 1-minute videos for all of the products. And today we just uploaded one on the pearls and piping foot. Progressive lenses. We'll see what they do. Hi, Nikki. Flowers first. You win. I want to do it anyway. So I want the flowers to really stand out, so I think I'm going to use the PolyFast for the flowers. And now it's just deciding on the colors. Thank goodness for the mute button. I thought, okay. So I know a lot of you are really fond of purple. There's not a lot of purple in this. It's mostly pinks and teal. So thinking about a flower. I was thinking about doing the centers yellow because this one's yellow. And I have a really bright yellow here that I've used before. But I think it's a little too bright. I brought some more colors in. That's a wonderful. So let's see, we'll go from the top. All right. I know how you guys like to tell me what to do on the colors, so. Looks to me like this one matches the best with that. So I'm going to do that for the centers. And then I was thinking about, instead of doing all of them the same color for the pink, for the petals, I was thinking about alternating. So we have 2 different colors here and doing the same thing. So one color and then the next color. So I would actually be hopping from one to the next, but that will be so time consuming. So instead I'm going to do one flower, one color, and then the next flower, another color, simply for saving time. So since we're doing PolyFast, I think that's a little too strong. Let's see, what other colors? I think that's better. I know one of you likes pink. Do you want blue petals? So we've got yellow centers, and then we have a pink, and we could do blue. I had it out last week. There it is. So these, it will definitely be complementary to what I already have done. So I have a question for you. Is my mouth in sync with what I'm saying? Is that good? Because I can't tell. I don't mind you guys suggesting things. I love it. So I'm going to take these and put them back. I have a couple more racks. These will be, I will be offering these at some point. They're really awesome. They're kind of funny, not fun to put together, but they're really awesome for storing your threads. So meanwhile, I have a box because I have to install a couple more to hang all of the threads because I'm trying to get every color in here. And then in the inside, I'm going to use, well, I already have the Invisifill started, which doesn't leave me any deco bob. But I can go inside of these circles and, you know, I can do whatever I want. We'll see how much time we have. I did the applique 2 weeks ago, Lori. So episode 18. Isn't it nice? So that's why I'm numbering, you know, the episodes so you guys can go back and find them easier. And you'll see it in the school. Remember, you can just go to the school and go into the Fabrically Speaking Live group and just click on, scroll down until you see this. Of course, this is also showing up again today because we're finishing it today. I got so many spools of thread. Right now I have the Invisifill thread in the bobbin, and I'm going to leave that because I started with that and probably will not need another bobbin because it is so thin that it takes a long time to use up a bobbin. It's one of the benefits of using the Invisifill. Some sewing machines, however, have trouble seeing the thread, and your machine might keep going, your bobbin's running out, your bobbin's running out, or thread your bobbin, thread your bobbin. And you're like, I did thread my bobbin. And that's why the deco bob, you know, is perfect. It's so perfect for your bobbin. Sorry for the noise. Or why they made the deco bob, so that you could use it in your bobbin and your bobbin can see it. And you still get really thin thread. So the efficient way to do this would be for me to do all of the centers first with yellow. Am I in sync or is my mouth delayed? Good. Because I have something open that my son told me not to have open, but it's really helpful for me. Let's see here. And when I looked at a video, I was like, it looked like I was in sync. And all right, so you don't need to know all the little details. This is a very neutral color that I used for the bobbin. Isn't that pretty? So that's kind of the little light colors inside of the petals. And so that's what it looks like on the back. You have trouble seeing the Invisifill thread, so you may want to use the Deco Bob, or you can go up to the PolyFast, which is what I'm doing. Remember, I say use the Invisifill when you're learning because it is slighter. It's lighter and thinner. It won't show up as much. But if you can't see it at all, then that's not going to help you. All right, yellow first. That's so pretty. This is the PolyFast, and this is 40 weight, so it's going to really show up significantly more than what you see on the petals, which you can barely see. I have 7 tomatoes on my tomato plant that I was waiting to put in the yard, or in the garden for our last freeze of the year, because we usually get another freeze, and we do get snow where I live. There we go. So now I have to carry this tomato plant out and plant it in the garden with all these tomatoes hanging on it. I need another person around to hold the tomatoes while I carry it, I think. Yes, the Deco Bobs are available in a class 15 bobbin. There are 2 other sizes that are available. We currently only have on our website the class 15 because it is the majority of the machines. If you have a machine that doesn't use the class 15, which they also call something else, so they call it class 15 and they call it something else. I can't think of what it is, but it's on our site. So we do have the ability to order you any bobbins that you like, and we can do those kind of things over the phone. But so few people use the other styles that we didn't think to put them all on our site because it just sits there. And all right, here we go. Did that. I did just upload a video on the add a 1/4 inch rulers as well. It's only a minute long to help you to know why I love those. The tomatoes are green. They're not done yet. I was like, it's so pretty too. I have them clipped to my blinds, and that's what's holding them up right now. All right, here we go. Where are my hoops? Hey, Tinkerbell, what are you doing on the floor? Why are you down there, honey? You get 3 hoops in the kit when you purchase an Octi-Hoop kit, which is found at creativefeet.com. And we have the links for everything that I'll be showing here in the description below the video. When we're live and you're part of the live chat, the description is not visible to you. And so if you want to go during the chat and look at things, I don't have that much in the description. I can't remember if I put these in there. I think I did. But you can open a new window. That's one way of doing it. So you have a window with it just in the description on the right. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can hit the big X and it'll close your live chat, and then you can find the description. We have a free shipping over $49 on our site right now. So it's a good time to buy heavy things. Hi, Anne. You just upgraded to a FOF quilt expression 720. Well, that's quite an upgrade going from a Kenmore 23. Aren't you excited? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 of these frames and we're going to use them at the same time. We have handles that come with them, and I use just one when I quilt. And the size of the hoop that you use on our quilt when you do use 2 of them is based on the size of your hand. So if your fingers do not extend all the way to the inside of the medium frame, then you should be using the smallest one on top, which is the majority of women. And then the bigger one, the next one up in size, is the one that goes beneath it. So if your fingers did extend, then you would use the biggest, you could use the biggest hoop, but you don't have to. And then we're going to steer with our fingers on this handle, and the other hand holds the frames together. So the best way to get good at this is to practice this movement of bringing the 2 frames together and swinging it around. Training your non-dominant hand to hold those frames together. And when you're holding these and for the first few times, just go, I know you, I'm familiar with you, I can do this, and carry them around even with you on your wrists. And what you're doing is getting the fear factor out of your instincts from what they say is that if anything we're unfamiliar with on a cellular level, we are nervous about, we're afraid of. So you want to just like get to know them, and so that they're no longer unfamiliar. And now I'm going to take the bottom frame and I'm going to put it beneath the quilt, so I won't even be able to see it. And the top frame drops in the perimeter, just as you saw me do. So the frame is inside of the perimeter of the one beneath it, and my non-dominant hand holds those together, and then my dominant hand holds this little handle. And you can sew off the edge, but when you're first learning, I suggest that you always have your batting extend out a good 2-3 inches beyond the quilt, so that you have something under there until you get comfortable with this. But otherwise you can put your ring finger beneath and your pinky, and then I just do that, and I call that a scissor hold. So I'm kind of like creating a pleat. Ring finger underneath, pinky goes, and middle finger goes down. And then you just kind of do that. So you're not really stretching the quilt out of shape. And we're going to start on the center of the flower. Out lower the foot. And we got to bring the needle up, or bring the bobbin thread up. And know that if you can't bring your bobbin thread up, it's probably because you didn't lower the foot, because there's no foot used with the Octi-Hoops. Now you can use a foot if you want. So I'm just going to do this little scissor hold now, and I got to put my glasses on. Elbows down. So when I'm sitting, I'm actually placing my elbow down on the table on the left arm, and then on the machine on the right. So the arm itself is resting on the machine, and then my hand goes on the quilt, but not outside of the hoop, but on the hoop that's beneath it and on top of it, so that all of my upper body muscles are at rest. And I can then move the hoops without pushing down. If it jerks on you when you're moving, that's because you're pushing down. So no need to push down with this, which will make your back and hands feel better. If you've ever done free motion before and got sore, it's mostly from lifting your elbows while steering your fabric. Okay, and then you just find your foot control and decide on how big of a stitch you want before you begin, and your brain will kind of maintain that for you. And since there's no foot used, there's no way to create a pucker. I might have to move myself a little bit so I don't get my head in the way. Now, because I don't like tying a lot of knots, and I really want this to show up, I'm going to go... What did I do? That doesn't sound good, but I think I might get away with it, yeah. So I'm going to go all the way around again. And this way, no one will know where I started and stopped on that circle. You just go a little bit past it, and that's an adequate knot. Now I have to travel a good 6 inches. So in this case, I am going to cut the thread, but I don't use my machine's thread cutter because it cuts the bobbin thread too short. And then I have a hard time bringing it back up on the next circle. And now I'm going to go over here. It's a good time to chat. Fried green tomatoes. I'm a salsa maker. And I love having some of them be green. You've never seen me do the scissor hold, Brenda? It's a handy thing to learn. And just remember, you're not trying to stretch. Holding your finger down on the thread and then following around the circle. And as I'm going around the circle, I'm not looking at the needle. I'm looking about a 1/4 inch in advance of where the needle is. Is this a good angle? You guys seeing well? So I want you to see how I'm holding it and also the needle. I think you can see pretty good. Lift the foot, pull it out, cut your thread. If I don't cut the bobbin thread, then I'll have long tails underneath, and the long tails can get caught on your sewing machine. Now, normally this would be crazy to do because you're taught by many educators to start in the middle of your quilt and work your way out, or otherwise you'll end up with a bunch of puckers on the end. But it is super convenient to not have to change your colors of thread constantly as you go around a quilt. And you could also use our liquid-based glue to secure the quilt, by the way. The top and the bottom together. Once again, this scissor hold. And I'm going to go around even though I don't have a line there. Looking ahead of where I'm going. And by the way, I do talk to myself, so I will say that just so I don't forget to go around again. Am I staying out of the way so you guys can see? I did not finish the apron, Brenda. I'm planning on doing the finish of the inking in the VIP group this Saturday unless they don't want to. So that would be inside of Create with Clare Rowley. I have printed out a butterfly and a hummingbird to finish it. And I really got to fix the cat. I'm not happy with the cat. Whoops. Okay, so that was my machine giving me a little beep, letting me know that I didn't bring the foot down. And I also got to bring that bobbin thread up. So the flowers, doing a pattern like this and repeating is a little bit time consuming, but the end result is so worth it. By the way, I haven't lowered my feed dogs. Completely forget to do that. I also kind of don't like the sound it makes every time it stops when the feed dogs are lowered. It's probably something that I just need to learn. Raise the foot, cut. I did a similar technique like this using a Winnie the Pooh fabric for a baby quilt, and I did all the Winnie the Poohs in yellow on the entire circumference of the quilt. And then I did all the piglets in pink and Tiggers in orange, and there were flowers on the fabric as well. I think I've shown it before, and it is fantastic to not have to worry about puckering when you do that. Lower the foot, Needle down, needle up. Bring that bobbin thread up, grab it, and then put your finger down on the threads. Notice that I don't do this, and a lot of people like hold on to their thread, and that's a surefire way of breaking needles, having loops, causing other issues with the machine. So you don't really even need to touch the bobbin thread, because the only reason why your thread has issues when you start is because the take-up lever is going up and down in the front of the machine, and it pulls on that needle thread. So the bobbin thread will just sit there. It's actually a good idea to cut your bobbin thread now instead of going around all the way. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. I feel like I should move this a little. I got a real close-up shot here, and maybe too close. Going around twice. Going around twice and using 40 weight thread. Why am I doing that? Because I don't like my knots to show. Let's see. Let's give it a shot. I'm going to use the scissor button. And the really cool part of that is it cuts the bobbin thread. And then before I go, I'm going to pull my needle thread out a little bit. And now my bobbin thread is cut, so I shouldn't have any problem. However, you have to bring that bobbin thread up, or you won't be able to stitch. I'm just going to pretend that it works and see what happens. And maybe see how the bobbin thread did come up, but it's really short. So it worked really good. And you know what? I cleaned my machine this week. So that may be partly why that worked better. Oh, that makes me feel good, because it's a lot faster. Follow the circle, looking ahead of where you're going, not where you're at. Don't look at the needle, look where you're heading. About a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch ahead of where you're headed. How many circles do I have? 1, 2, 3. Of course, I couldn't just do 4. I was going to do only 4 of these, and then I was like, oh, it'll look so cute if I can do lots of them. And then I made even smaller ones, because that would even be cooler. But, you know, I'll be ending at 9 o'clock tonight if I do too much detail. So see how it didn't stitch? Now it is. Look at the line. Look where you're going. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. You guys see fine? Good. I was wondering if my big hand wasn't like covering it up, because I can't watch the feed while I'm sewing. And you also aren't even supposed to need to hold the needle thread, because it closes the tension on the thread. So see how it didn't pick up that time? It's also a good idea to have your tweezers nearby, which I told myself to grab them. I really just need another pair for in the living room. Elbows down, shoulders relax. And the distance you should be away from your sewing machine is how far away it takes to focus to read. Something got caught, so I'm trying to get away with it. I'm not getting away with it. And it's that bobbin winder thing that they put on there to make it so you could cut your bobbin winder. It's not something I'm fond of. So because I want it to look good on the back, I'm going to stop and cut. It's good for you to see anyway that sometimes I have trouble. All right, still connected. And you can see the hoops are designed to slide out from under that needle without breaking it. And this is what I got. I got this little bit of the yellow that got pulled down. And that was really the top thread that caused that. And it doesn't really seem like that when you think about it logically, but that is the truth. And as you can see, this is the Invisifill bobbin with the pebbles where I have the same color and type in the needle and the bobbin there. But this is how nicely it looks, even though there is a significantly heavier thread on the top. So it works nicely as long as your machine can see that that is a bobbin. That thread is in your bobbin. So I have, how many circles do I have to go? 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to be here a while, you guys. This is the one I left off on. I need to go back around it one more time. And I can tell you this, the Deco Bob, it can handle pearl cotton in the needle. And it doesn't pop up to the top. It's amazing. Feel free to ask me questions. I get going on this. I start to peek at the feed. Most important thing is to not hit your needle with the hoop, and that only can happen if you lift it while you're moving it around. Always foot down, even though there's no foot. And here I'm probably going over, going over this too many times. I have gone over quilts before for 3 times to really create a heavy look. And I'm really tempted to try the pearl cotton on quilting, but I'm not going to do that today because this is going to be on my table. I forgot to use the scissors. Okay, so do you guys remember how to do the scissor hold? I'm using the iron erase friction pen. I would not use one that air erases. I'd use only one that iron erases or rinses away. The chalk doesn't really work either because it gets wiped off as you're sliding this around on the top of the quilt. I really thought I was going to like the chalk thing, and I ended up getting really disappointed by it. And I'm sure there's many different pens that are wonderful, and if you guys have any that you are very fond of that you'd like us to carry, you can tell me in the school, because the feed, this chat I don't have time to go through all the chats anymore. There's too many weeks. We are building up Creative Feet. We're going to have a lot of products. All of our inks are coming in. And Larry, we are bringing in the Derwent pencils too. First I'm going to test them, and then we'll be adding those on. Larry told me about those, and I can't wait to play with them. Well, I kind of got my thread all wonky, and I'm going to take it up and around one of the posts on the thread dispenser to stop it from getting caught on the bobbin winder. I have one of our clips up here too, and sometimes I put it in there, and it's like the V, and it holds the thread and keeps it from getting caught on that bobbin winder. Here we go. I got long tails going. Okay. 3 more circles, and then we're on to petals. I don't foresee me being able to do the binding today, but I have already done it. I just thought it'd be fun to finish it today and get it on my table for my dad's birthday. And now I just pretty much don't do anything if I don't film it. I hope so. I think you aren't the only one that brought him up. Somebody else was talking about him last week. You know what's silly is I think I own some somewhere already, because there isn't normally an art supply that comes out that I don't get right away. Okay, so I'm going to use the scissor. So how many of you have the Octi-Hoops? If you have the Octi-Hoops, say I do, or thumbs up. If you don't know how to do thumbs up, it's on the bottom of the chat window. There's a little smiley face that's kind of grayed out. And you can see that my machine is not level with the table. It's up in the air, and as I get close to the edge, it doesn't fall off the machine because I don't take my hand out here and push on it. So if it ever falls off, that means you're moving your elbows, or you're lifting your elbows and you're moving with the hoop, which is innately what you used to do. So your instincts will kick in if you don't want to stop quilting, because after you get going, it gets so much fun that you may not want to stop, and then you don't want to remove the hoop because you just want to keep going, and it falls off the back of the sewing machine. But you can switch your hand to this position, put your fingers beneath the actual quilt, elbow down still, but now your thumb brings the frame in, and now you can sew off the edge. So I've even done it with just the free arm before on my show. I don't want to have to disassemble anything now because I really want to finish this. When I get on the pebbles, I can really get going quick. All right. Yeah, I think I would have really enjoyed the pencils for the apron for the cat. It would have been helpful to have that detail. Let's see. Needle down, foot down. Foot's already down. I'm not used to using the scissor. I keep forgetting. Well, it's amazing how I cannot see at all. Feed dogs are still up, by the way, you guys. So if any of you do not have the ability to lower your feed dogs, know that you absolutely do not have to lower the feed dogs with the Octi-Hoops. All right, I'm done with all the yellow centers. Pretty sure. Good time to check. It saves me having to rethread the machine. Definitely did. So now I'm going to change and I'm going to do the pink ones first. And so that I don't regret my decisions, I'm going to mark these. Ahead of time. And I do have a pretty consistent pattern going here because I measured out from each corner, each one of these corners. I have the petal facing that petal, and I had it be an inch away and an inch away from the two sides on all four of the corners. So if I do all four of the corners, if I think about that first and I do these two pink and these two blue, or should I do all four of the corners pink? Now I really am asking for help with that. Should I do all four? That would probably be good, huh? And then the rest of the petals blue. Then I don't have to think. So all the other flowers with blue? I don't know. Because we got this inside. So pink, blue, blue, pink. You're not helping, you guys. You guys are supposed to give me the answer. So I'm going to do pink. I think I'm just going to alternate blue, pink, blue. That worked out. So that'll be good. I'm just going to hop every other flower. I don't have to think as much. So what it ended up being was blue on opposite corners and pinks on opposite corners. I think it's going to be nice. I just think there would be too many blue flowers. I would have trouble dealing with, I would have to bring in another color flower is what I'd have to do. I haven't yet, but anything like that would be great if you bring that up in the school or send me an email or anything of things that you'd like me to try and carry. Good time to hydrate, everybody. In case you're not eating or drinking while I'm working. Whenever you're doing any type of free motion, you need to make sure that you raise the foot when you change your color thread. If you don't, then your thread will not be in the tension discs. You'd scatter them, Brenda? I could bring in one more color. I'm going to stick with what I'm doing. It's funny because none of you liked orange last week. Or when I was doing the applique, I kept trying to do orange and none of you wanted it. You did love the apron? I'm not real happy with the bottom, and I want to be. So I know what I'm going to do to make it look better. So part of me just didn't even want to look at it again. So you can't see this, but I'm going through different thread guides to kind of tame the thread. I can't remember if I kept the apron out to hold up so you guys could see it, because some people didn't get to watch last week. I have no idea where it is. So just look at last week's Fabrically Speaking Live and you'll see. And I did the cat just from looking at my tablet, and it was interesting. It's not too bad. I would just like to give it more color and more, make the face cuter. But it's going to be chasing a blue butterfly because you guys win. And there's going to be a hummingbird and some flowers coming down from the top. So it's going to be, I don't know if I should even do it on this Saturday. It's too much time. We'll see. We're starting at 10 o'clock on Saturday. And if you're part of the VIP group in the school, that's what I'm referring to. You love... Yeah, it's going to be so neat when I have all the colors. I've been using the same yellow for weeks because I didn't have anywhere to put them. So on that wall, I'll have the rest of the PolyFast. And then the Invisifill is going to go over here because there's 60 colors of that. And then I need another rack for the Deco Bob. And then the bobbins will be with the threads because the posts are long enough to put them on top of the spool. And then I'm going to be really organized. We'll see. I'm always trying to get organized. So I need to think about this. And I think once again, I'm going to be doing a double stitch. Lower the foot. I don't want to go double here. Or I don't want to go around the center with pink at all. So that means the only way that I can go around this flower is to come down and go back over again. And I need to think about this because if I go back down over the sides and I don't go over the top twice, then the top's going to look wrong. So I need to think. I mean, it is only me that's saying not to go around that with pink. So we'll see. I'll be thinking as I go. I definitely am not going around the centers. So how I'm going to deal with this, you'll see. Whenever I have to think on something, I always make sure I cut my threads. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. And this is the batting. I didn't have a line drawn, so I'm kind of guessing. So I'm going over, come back down, gotta go back up, and come back over. Whoopsie, oh my goodness. Well, that was because I didn't sew through my finger, but my glasses hit my microphone and they went up, and then I panicked. So that if I scared you, I'm sorry. So now I'm going to show you how to handle this. I was like, boo. Yes, those are the racks that I showed earlier, those white ones. And I'm going to do a tutorial and show you how to assemble them so you don't hurt yourself doing it. So here's a stitch going way out from where I want it to be. I don't want it to be out there. So if I cut my bobbin thread, not the needle thread, it removes that stitch and the needle thread is still connected. And I actually stitched my fingernail. If I have something to kind of smooth that out, it's going to get caught on things. Fake fingernails. We'll see if this bobbin thread will pop up. I got to stop thinking that that thing is a magnifying glass. It's not. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. We'll see. I don't know. So you see the bobbin thread is too short, so it won't come up. So I have to grab it. I knew I was going to need my tweezers. Trying not to do one of those breaks. But I am going to step away for a minute because it's too white. You can't even see it. Put the ruler there. Be right back. Should take me just a second. I have the tweezers sitting there ready. I know you were hoping Mommy was done, but I'm not done. Not done yet, baby. Well, it made it so I could get something to file that fingernail. And Tinkerbell wants to say hi. Actually, she wants to say bye. I've been walking them every day, and we didn't do that today. So she's disappointed. But every time I leave the room, she's like, oh, yay, she's done. And when I come back in, she makes little noises like, Oh, so cute. Ooh. Oh, get back on your spot. There we go. Are you guys enjoying spring as much as I am? All right, so I just need to grab that bobbin thread, and I still haven't disconnected the needle thread. There we go. Fingernail smooth. Foot's lowered, elbows down, shoulders relax, hair out of the way. And these are the hardest ones for me because they are off the edge. Take your time. There's no reason to go fast. There's no police officer with speed limits or another way of putting it. You're not in a race. There is no one saying you need to get to the other end of your quilt fast or you're failing in some way. Sometimes I need to be quiet for a little bit. Look at the line. Don't look at the needle. It's tempted to look at the needle. That's when I mess up, when I look at that needle. And up and down. You know, this really doesn't matter here because this is the batting. It's going to be cut off anyway. And isn't this something else that you can quilt like right along the edge of your binding or your batting with nothing else there? All right, so this is my remedy, and you can see the feed dogs going up and down. So you can tell that they are up. To make it match, I'm going to just go here and here. Whoopsie. Oh, I didn't make a perfect stitch. So why am I doing this? Because all of the lines have a double layer of thread. Try to cover that up. So what I'm doing is just going, as you can see, going around the tops of the petals one more time so that they have the same thickness. And this is why I'm more quiet, because I want this to look really good, and it's a darker color. So whenever you have a really dark color thread on a light color fabric, you see your stitches more, and you're more likely to not like what you're doing. But try to remember that when people view your work, just as you guys view mine with more favor than I would think. I always judge my work much harsher than you guys do. Okay, now I'm looking for the next pink. Skip every other flower. This is going to be so cool. No, you're not going to be more fast. You're not going to be more accurate faster. Your eyesight and your hand-eye coordination determines how fast you should go. Going fast can be very stressful if you're not able to see well enough to do that. So when you go to shows or when you watch someone with a long arm and they're moving really fast, we get kind of this belief that that's how you're supposed to quilt, really fast, but no. So I really want to start here because I'm not off the edge this time, and I'm going to start right here. Nah, start in the middle. Lower the foot, bobbin thread up. Doesn't it sound better to go slow? Run the machine slower too. You can run your machine at 30% slower than the machine normally runs and have your speed control set so that you don't have to think about how fast you're going. That is something I usually do, and I have not done that. And I'm going to do it now. So there we go. Sometimes my foot control sticks and then all of a sudden it releases and then whoops, I can't do that. I can't talk while I'm doing this. I have to stop and say that. So if you have the speed control set, you can push your pedal all the way down and it won't go any faster. This is kind of what's wrong with those stitch regulators. The stitch regulators will all of a sudden speed up and slow down the machine, and it can scare you. And like if I weren't talking right now, I'd just be thinking about what I'm doing instead. I could go faster, but then I'd be more boring to watch. And if you've ever sewn like this and had to go back over a line that you've already been over, you know that it can be very challenging. The reason it's not that hard to do with the Octi-Hoops is because your hand is down and you're using your fingers to guide. Hope I wasn't in front of the camera too much. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed, loose, relaxed fingers on that handle. You don't have to squeeze it. It's a very light touch, resting my pinky on the hoop beneath. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. So see how I was quiet and I was able to go a little faster on that one? I feel like I'm out of sync. There we go. And I get asked a lot why I don't lower my needle. And it's basically because there's no foot in the way and I can see where my needle is. Had that thing happen again where the thread twisted for a second. And see how I'm holding the quilt itself, not the hoop, but the quilt close to it, trying to loosen that up. And I don't know if it's something that's wrong with this machine or I'm going to cut that bobbin thread. This time it cut the needle thread too, I think. Nope. So I got away with it. But now, am I going to get my bobbin thread to come up? That is very rare for it to come up. And you can see it's not stitching. Oh, it did. Am I getting away with it? But I'm going to have a thick area there. Nope, got to bring that bobbin thread up. Going to have to start. But see, oops, I almost cut the fabric. This is why I go around it twice. So when I do go over that, it will blend in and you won't be able to tell. And that's all that it is on the back side. That little bit got pulled. Now that used to happen a lot to me when I didn't use the thread dispenser. The thread dispenser or having your spool of thread on a thread stand for a mini king is better. And you can see the bobbin thread is not even up. There we go. If you wanted to, you could have changed your bobbin thread for every one of these stitches. It would have slowed you down a lot, but some of us like to do detail work like that. I know that there's at least one of you going, I'm so glad that happened to her just now, so I can see what happens and how to fix it. There are teachers that teach you to go really fast. And if you're in a classroom setting, they'll actually like go faster, go faster, go faster. Now that philosophy worked for zigzag embroidery for one thing, and I was guilty of being that teacher. But I've come up with methods that are more relaxing and healthier for you. And you have more consistency when you go slower. If you start feeling like you can move faster, then you're ready to go faster. The Octi-Hoops make it so much easier. Because we don't have the pushing down that you do when you do traditional free motion. I just totally was looking in the wrong spot. Here I go again. Now this is the cut the bobbin thread. It releases the stitch on top without you having to cut that top thread. Pull the slack back to the spool. And I got to get the bobbin back up. You know, it takes two different parts of the brain to do what I'm doing. So that's what happens. If I just be quiet, then I would be moving right along. Also looking through these things and around my mic. Lower the foot. I'm also distracted by this line that I had drawn there, which is kind of making me go slower. So now, as I come back around, I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to go just on the outside of the petals, so all of the outer edges have 2 rows of stitching. If we had music, I wouldn't mind so much being quiet while I do these things. And it is a little bit more intense when you have a pattern that you're drawing over. And I want it to look good. And when you're stippling, it's totally different experience. You can go a lot faster. Oops, turn it. Now, a way around this is to do a second, do not have your stitches actually line up with one another. Give yourself a space in between them. And as you do that space all the time, then it doesn't look like a mistake. It looks like it was deliberate. 1 flower done. Or 2. $99. Are you down in Phoenix? That's right. That usually means we're over 80. I'm going to take a sip. This is actually my lunch. And it's a blueberry banana protein shake with coconut milk as the liquid. And I need it because otherwise I'm going to start getting loopy. I'm going to mute my mic while I take a few sips, and it's a good opportunity for you guys to drink. So drink some water, wine, coffee, whatever you guys have, tea. Cheers. All right, now I can keep on going. Okay, so now that I've problem solved the flower and know what I'm doing, I think I'll be able to move a little quicker. We'll see. I'm also not sitting right. If you guys weren't watching, I would have the machine pushed this far away, and I would be leaning You know what? Maybe I could get my close camera closer. This is actually how I would sit so that I'm really laying down. So let me see if I can't get my other camera lined up so I can sit healthier. Try not to get dizzy. Close your eyes, you guys. I'm so short. Well, that's too far away. Whoopsie. Thank you, Larry. I recently colored my hair, added some dark tones to it. This is a class 15 bobbin, also known as style something. I don't know why they started changing it from just a class to now they have styles. Class A, maybe. Well, I'm still not in optimum position, but at least I have both elbows down, so I should be better at sewing. It's not where I want to start. Okay, the scissor hold. And here we go. I didn't draw that line. Even though it's outside of where it will be, I still want it to be there. Coming in a little. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. Now my head isn't in the way all the time. Oh, good. This is going to be better. And go down. Oops. Whoops. I got to move this caterpillar tablet over a little. And I have a rotary cutter in front of me, which is distracting me. All these things come into play, but elbows down, shoulders relaxed is the most important. Now I'm really comfortable. And I did that on purpose. So this flower will have a double loop at the base of each one. After all, not all flowers are exactly the same. Whoopsie. And I'm outside of the border of the quilt anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Come back around now. Look where you're going, not where you're at. This light. If I can get this light out of my line of sight, What's going on with you, thread? Another thread decided to join in with the spool. So it did that thing again. I got away with it. If I didn't want to finish this thing today, so this is me showing you how if you're consistently not lined up, now it looks like your intent was to not be lined up. So this is another way of working on a detail like this when you have to go around it more than once. It is achievable though. Next one. How many hours have we been on? Not quite 2 yet. Starting on the outside of the petal. Come on, pick it up. There you go. Whenever I work on something and I'm live, I never can do as good a job as I could if I weren't, because of my elbows and the camera and the light in front of me and the microphone. Never cut my tail. So if anyone's coming in late, this is the Octi-Hoop set or kit that I'm using. These are 2 frames. One is beneath the quilt layers, all 3 layers. The bottom and the middle is our bamboo batting found at creativefeet.com, which is awesome batting. And the Octi-Hoops allow me to draw. Oh, that's what you can't see. To draw with this hand. And you also notice that I kind of keep my front like half section available to sew. In other words, I don't have the hoops out here and have it way out there, and that has to do with the line of sight. So however far away it takes for you to focus to read is how far you should have the needle from you, and elbows down, shoulders relaxed. When I do the pebbles, I'm much faster, or if I were stippling. I also don't have my pad for my elbow. Having a nice cushion under your elbow is good. I'm trying to think of where I put that. Isn't it more fun though to have more color? Sliding around. Okay, yay. Another one that's not on the edge. Which scissors am I using? These are the applique. These are the littlest ones. And they have a serrated edge on them. They're really awesome for cutting right up to the tip. Never, ever use these for anything but thread. Unless you want to buy another pair eventually. Bye, Brenda. If you've ever gotten puckers on your quilt, a lot of people don't know what that means. So if you ever get like a pinch, it's the foot that causes that. So the fact that we have no foot on eliminates that from happening. It also makes it easier for me to see, to follow lines like this. Concentrating on keeping my elbows down. I looked in the wrong spot and made it straight. I don't know if I'm going to get away with that. See how my fingers kind of crawl on the hoop too? So I'm not actually inside of there. Sometimes I am, and my hand moves around at different positions on the actual frame as I'm going. What is that caught on this time? Hello, hello. All right, we're back. Okay, well, hopefully it wasn't since I had my shake. Uh-oh. Now we have interference. Quit acting up. Hello, hello. Yay. And no more interference, I hope. I hear myself in my ear. So I don't think it was off very long, right? All of a sudden the microphone just went, I don't want to do this anymore. Good. And the funny thing is when I'm hearing myself, you are actually about, I don't know how long in between, almost a full minute from when I speak. Do you actually hear me speak? So I hear myself like almost a full minute. Then I forgot to put it back on the close camera. That flower's better. I don't have my glasses on. Let's see how I do. I'm not looking through the hole in my light anymore. So I'm not distorted in thinking that that light is somehow magnifying the area. It's definitely better for me. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. But I can tell you what, that one right there was from me wanting something to pad my elbow. I need a pad. And this is what I use. I highly recommend making one of these. It's a good practice for you. This is actually 4 layers of batting, and it's a really nice place to rest my elbow. So my elbow actually slipped off the edge of this table, which is not comfortable, and my caterpillar is preventing me from leaning. So all these different things come into play. All right, here we go. Now my elbow feels so much better. I still need the glasses though. And I hear that sound. That's, I probably should stop and cut the thread. Got away with it. I think the thing that is the hardest when you first learn how to use these is that you don't move the quilt when you want to move to an area. You move the frames. So you just slide the frame to where you think you need to be, and then you take the bottom one with it. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. I'm going to go ahead and lower the feed dogs now. See that sound it makes when it's down? I don't like it. Okay, we're going to come in here, and that one's done. Next, pink. And we switch to blue, and then we're on the pebbles, and the pebbles I can go really fast on. Now, what was I saying? So, oh my God, I snorted. I just, back in the day, I could have remembered probably, but as I am now 58, when I don't, if too much time goes by, I can't remember what I was talking about. Odds are whatever I said I would be saying again, because this is so repetitive. I'm so comfortable now. When I quilt and I'm all alone and I'm not filming, I like to listen to a movie that I've already watched before a few times so that I can visualize the scenes. And it's entertaining for me as well. It did that thing again there. I got away with it. No, you're still not. What the heck's going on? So I raised the foot and lowered it. I don't think I cut my bobbin thread. When I started, it was a long bobbin thread and I didn't bring it in. So that's what's causing the interference this time. Or time to change my needle. You never know. I really think I need to take it in for service. It's time. I've been not wanting to take it in because I like the machine so much, and I don't know how long they're going to keep it because of COVID. And I can service it to a certain extent, but Baby Luck likes to have my machine serviced by their dealers. So I represent the Baby Luck brand well when I use it. So don't leave long bobbin threads. Make sure you cut your bobbin threads. So remember, this is just outer space so I can come back. So if you can't see, I'm actually repeating, doing a space on the far edge of each petal, going on the line and then making a space. And now it has consistent mistake, which makes it not a mistake. Now it's an element, so separating from the petal. Can you see that? Whoops. I think the camera moved. The best position for the light is me looking through it. No sense in me quilting for you if you can't see me quilting. Oh, I unplugged my foot control. Well, this is fun. How many mistakes can I make in a few minutes? So what I was doing, I'll show you. I'll just let you see it in a minute. This is the last pink flower after all. I think it's the scissor thing, to be honest with you. I think there's an issue with it that they need to adjust it. I also had closed my quilt into my machine's housing because it slid apart. And then I closed it back on and my quilt was in it. Yeah, I do enjoy having the larger area, but it's definitely not necessary. It's more important to have, if I was going to have extra, I'd rather have more out here than in here. I have successfully quilted with my smaller machines for years before they ever came out with these wider body machines. Time to change to the blue thread. Go ahead and let you guys look at it from the top view. Isn't that neat? Bye, Susan. There's my thread. Couldn't find it. What is going on? Oh, the foot's not. Make sure you raise your foot when you change your color thread. What are you guys making for dinner? Oops and whoopsie, and whoopsie's my new, it's not that new anymore. It's been about 3 years now. All of a sudden I started saying whoopsie. and then my daughter goes, didn't Grandma used to say that? And I think she did. I just had the blue thread. Where'd it go? Oh, there. Hidden behind the microphone. I say oops a lot though. We are almost to the very fast part where I do the pebbles. Have any of you done pebbles? Have any of you struggled with them to figure out how to get them to look like pebbles? Because there's a difference between a pebble and a circle, isn't there? There's actually an extra piece of thread in my bobbin area. So your machine really does not want 2 bobbin threads in the bobbin area. There we go. You guys are quiet. This is a good opportunity to look and see if you have any connecting threads. And I'm going to show you my errors or my issues. All of a sudden my software just got small. Whew. That was scary. So you can see every now and then I have this little bit of thread that came through, and that's the needle thread coming through the back. It's safe to cut that. That's where the thread snagged inside my bobbin case. So every now and then, and this is why it's a good idea to match your colors, but you can see that you can remove those with a little bit of fiddling. All right. But most people are only going to look at the front of your quilt anyway. I guess it's just the way it is. Got to look through the center of that light to get good light for you guys. Bigger of the 2 frames goes beneath. Next one goes on top, and it holds the quilt down for you, which is why you don't need a foot. You can use a foot if you like, though. If you're just learning and you're nervous about not using a foot, feel free to do that. But without a foot, you can see. Start up here. So one time I had that bobbin thread really long and I didn't pull it all the way up. Another time I had actually put the cone of thread and I set it on top of the thread. And another time I got caught on the bobbin winding assembly. So what is that 5 times? 5 times I had a problem. Does that make you guys feel better? Someone asked about thread painting earlier. You can use these for thread painting as well. we do thread painting, we use the stabilizer, and it attaches to the hoop. And it just allows you to lay your garments or whatever you want to embroider on right over the sticker. And that allows you to just embroider like you're seeing me quilt right now, and then you can just embroider. Oh, my break thing is still on. No, I'm not taking a break. I have videos on my YouTube channel showing you how. And we go live every week, so I can't remember how long ago it was. What was it? Oh, it was the dog walking bag. So look for part 1 of my dog walking bag, which isn't in here because I use it to walk my dogs every day. And it will, you'll see like a cartoon character on the front of it, and that's how you'll know. So you can do all kinds of thread painting with this, but today is about quilting. And we can do even more with this. We can also quilt or embroider directly on wedding veils with no stabilizer underneath. And I was actually thinking of doing that next week because a lot of people are focused on making wedding veils right now. I know because of what they're buying, that they're in the process of working on bridal. If I did not answer everything, feel free to ask again. Do not feel bad about asking again. And also join the school, which is in the link in the description. And you can ask questions in there and also call me on the phone. I'm happy to help you. Oops, I went away from my start point. So now I gotta lower my foot, even though there's no foot, it's already lowered. Gotta make sure that I lowered it or raised it when I threaded the machine though. So if you pull on the thread and it slides real easily out of the needle, odds are your foot is not lowered. Once your foot is lowered, the tension on the thread actually will cause the needle to deflect a little bit. So that's kind of a check that I do to make sure my thread is in the tension discs. If you go to thread the machine and you remove the thread and then you don't raise the foot, then the thread can't get in between the discs. The discs close and the thread lays on the outside of the tension discs instead of being on the inside. I think I can rest in this position. I'm a little farther away from the needle than I like to be. Up and down. And as I'm sewing, I'm not looking at the needle. I'm looking about this far ahead. Keeping your eye focused where you're headed so you don't all of a sudden go out in outer space simply because you're watching the needle. And the needle's moving as well, which makes it even more difficult to look at because it's not something sitting still. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. Show you my posture again for those of you who came in late. And you're not late because you can always rewind these. Elbow down, elbows. Both elbows are down and resting. My right arm is resting on the machine. My left arm is resting on a pad that I have here so that I don't get sore from resting. Now, normally you don't rest when you quilt. Normally elbows are up, shoulders, and you move and push down against the quilt, which then gets pinched by the smooth surface of the machine, becomes kind of sticky, and the fabric doesn't want to move evenly. And you'll sew and all of a sudden it will move really fast, and then sometimes it gets stuck as you're sewing, and that's because of the resistance of the machine. So the frame beneath actually lifts the quilt up and makes this super slippery. So there's no need to push down either. So you don't need a foot. This top frame becomes the foot, eliminating the need for a free motion foot. This also works on the mid-arm machines. If you have one of those mid-arm quilters, and you can take the foot off of that, and no longer will you have any puckers or pinching or uneven feeding from the top, bottom, and batting. You like the butterfly video I did? That was a good one too. And the pattern for the patterns for things like that are in the school. I don't know how this will be when I switch cameras. We'll see. Is it too dark? Oh, the machine needs to go this way. It's interesting. Usually I adjust the camera, not the sewing machine, to the camera. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. If you don't know what school I'm talking about, it is in the description on this video. When we're no longer live, you'll be able to look at the description and click on the link to go to my school and join for free. Some patterns are not free. Some are only given to the VIP group, who pay a monthly fee to have special attention and get extra goodies. But everybody has access to me inside of the school. When you send a message, unless I am live or sleeping, I pretty much respond right away. My non-dominant hand is my left hand, and it is what's holding the frames together without pushing down. I'm trying to get my hand to not be in your way. Elbows down, shoulders relax. There's no harm in talking out loud to yourself. So when I say elbows down, shoulders relax, I am talking to myself. Now each one of these straight lines has 2 rows of stitching. Now I'm going to go all the way around the perimeter of the flower to make it balanced. The feed dogs are lowered now. However, they were up for just until about a half hour ago tops. The machine's no longer making that noise. Guess it didn't like having extra thread in the bobbin case area. It's always a good idea to clean your machine and oil it before doing any free motion work, because free motion is one of the hardest things for your sewing machine to do. It's usually your sewing consists of stopping a lot and getting your next pattern piece out, and you just do like a straight stitch for about 10 inches or so. But when you do free motion, especially embroidery, you're going to be utilizing a lot. You're going to sew a lot of stitches in it, and it is harder on the sewing machine. You'll have more lint build up in a shorter amount of time because you're actually running the machine more than you ever do normally when you sew. In case you didn't hear me, I repeated myself. So now I'm moving to the next blue flower. And by the way, this was 2 weeks ago, the applique lesson. Just look for this pretty applique design in the images within my playlist for Fabrically Speaking Live, because we do have a playlist on YouTube called Fabrically Speaking Live. And the applique was season 2, episode 18. We are now on season 2, episode 20. Always lowering the foot before you sew. Go bring that bobbin thread up. Hi, Sandy. Well, you're never late because I never stop, right? Anybody else that I didn't catch? Hi, Valerie. I don't think I... And Recreations. Hello, you guys. This is the PolyFast 40 weight embroidery thread. It has these crystals in it that makes it, or like a cut, the cut of the thread makes it look shinier than other polyester threads. There is an article or a blog that I wrote on my Creative Feet site on thread to help you understand the differences between them. And after I finish the flowers, I'm going to switch to the Invisifil cottonized polyester. And it has been made to not shine as much. So it looks like cotton, but it's stronger than cotton. It doesn't shrink like cotton. It doesn't bleed like cotton. And it doesn't fray and rot away like cotton thread. So polyester is better if you're going to do something that you want to last a long time. And we're going twice over the straight lines because I didn't want to have the color of the petals to interfere with the yellow. So before you plot something out or plan something like this, you should think about the direction that you're going to be sewing beforehand and speak out loud to your brain and tell it what you're going to have to pay attention to out loud. And then you won't have to think as much when you actually do the sewing part. So now all of the petals, straight lines, have 2 rows, and now I'm going to go around the perimeter. This pattern is available inside of Create with Clare Rowley in the group for my show, Fabrically Speaking Live. And that's where you'll find other people post pictures of their projects that they do. If they take the time to actually do one of the projects that I do live. And I'm deliberately making a mistake on these petals so that it's not a mistake. As I come around, I'm doing a little gap on one side. And that way all of the petals, if I have mistakes, are not, it doesn't look like a mistake to the viewer that didn't watch me do it live. Wouldn't know that I started doing that because I made a mistake. Don't go too slow on your hands or sit too long in one spot because you'll cut the thread. It's another way to have a problem. Okay. All right. This is very relaxing, you guys. If you haven't brought out your Octi-Hoops and quilted with them yet because you thought maybe it would be more stressful than embroidery, it's once you know what you're going to do, that I think that's the most challenging part, figuring out what you're going to do. The scissors cut my bobbin thread too short, so I had to pull it out again. Notice I don't cut it. I leave it long and let the machine bring it up. That batting fuzz is a piece of batting, and it could have ended up in my bobbin case. That's another reason to check your bobbin case regularly when you're quilting. So that's what's so cool about my school is there's just a whole bunch of you and you all have the same interests. And there's nothing political or anything not related to being creative inside of there. So if you like the live experience, you'll probably enjoy getting to know one another better in the school. We're still waiting on the other Sandy to jump back in. One, two, three more flowers to go, and then I can go quicker. It's only 2 hours and 19 minutes. That's not bad for me. It's actually because I did all the tracing before. Do not watch the sewing machine needle. Watch where you're going instead. There's no foot in the way, so you can see lines on fabric that you draw, making it so much easier to follow a pattern. Because if there's a foot on the machine, it blocks your view. Right now is when it would block my view. I would want to go backward, but I couldn't see it because the foot would be in the way. So without the foot there, I can see to draw over that line. I just realized I go back. I don't always go around the same direction on the petals. Maybe that's why sometimes it's harder for me. And now that I know I'm going the opposite direction, now I'm concerned about it. Our brain's funny. So if you're in a hurry and you're trying to do a really big quilt and you just want to do a lot of stippling, you might find this a little frustrating because the hoops require you to reposition more often than you would if you didn't have a hoop on. However, your hands won't hurt, your back won't hurt, your eyes won't burn, and you'll be more consistent than without. Or than with a foot. Or without our hoops. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know which way was easier for me to go. So I'm going clockwise around the flower. It's definitely easier. So there you go. I was going counterclockwise around the flowers and up until now. And while that doesn't seem like it would matter, it seems to matter to my brain. I sat there too long and the needle kind of crocheted itself. The needle actually sewed through the thread and split it apart like a crochet needle. I'm going to see if I can get away with it. I'm not going to get away with it. I have to cut it. I shouldn't have been saying it was easier. See, talking too much. Bobbin thread is still connected. As long as one thread is still connected, it should hold. But I am still going to go over that area a little more. Oh, I cut the bobbin thread. These scissors are actually stainless steel, so they don't rust, and they're really good all the way to the really true, and they have a really nice tight fit. I'm going to cut in front of the mic so you can hear. So a lot of times scissors are a little bit loose and sloppy. These are not. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. Didn't those sound nice? If you split your thread when you crochet, you're doing it wrong. It reminded me of something that I did by hand. Does anyone know what I'm remembering? I mean, it's not like I was saying you had to split the thread. It might be something I did in macrame. And now I'm going all the way around the perimeter again. Not perfect, on purpose. To make all the flowers be not perfect. Making it look perfect. Don't we always admire other people's work more than our own? Have you guys noticed that? We are our worst critic. And I'm not sore. My shoulders aren't sore. My hands aren't sore. It's very relaxed. Last flower? No, 2 more. I keep thinking maybe it'll only take 2 hours. I used to just go until I was finished, but now I have a rule that I never go longer than 4 hours in one sitting. I got distracted because I have the tail in my finger and I know I need to cut it. So I have 2 pre-recorded videos to edit, and you guys can expect those to upload soon. One is the inking that I did of the koi fish, and the other is a bag I just did yesterday, a zipper pouch made from a panel. If there's anything that you guys would like me to teach, it's a good opportunity to write it in the chat. Yeah, I think we have our brain likes going a certain direction, and I'm going the wrong way again, and it's feeling wrong. It's so funny. Know that the chat is significantly far away from me. I do my best to look at it periodically. However, I am using my eyes to guide this. This is not an automatic machine. This is me steering with this. I sat too long. Did you guys catch that? How I sat on the thread and it just sliced it with the needle again? I think I need to switch to the other direction. Thank God for needle threaders. And I don't need to bring the bobbin thread up because it didn't get cut this time. It's this side that has a space. Whoopsie. Yeah, this is not the right way. Oh well. I'm gonna be quiet for a minute. I'll do a better job if I don't talk. One more, you guys. One more. What I was doing with my hand just then, doing this, that's hyperextending your hand. You shouldn't do that. You should try to keep your hand flat. One more. Yay. Oh. Oh, Better Days, you wrote something that YouTube thinks you're being inappropriate. I don't mind showing it. All right. I've come to like your personality, Better Days. Now everyone wants to read what you wrote. So it does take longer to do something like this, to change colors, but the end result is, I think, very special. Come on, Claire, which way do I want to go? Sometimes I don't breathe when I do it. Make sure you keep breathing. Do any of you hold your breath when you're quilting? Catch yourself doing that sometimes? It's really not a good idea because then you get dizzy. You lose a little bit of your intelligence. So relaxed. Trust me, Amy, you're not the only one. get you guys on a phone. I get to hear your personalities really good. I just thought about something else I could do, but no way. It's going to take too long. I was thinking I could go in here and I could do little of the pink around inside of each blue, and inside of each pink put blue. And so you know what I mean? It's like it's really up to you as to how many stitches you use. I'm not going the right direction. There's no right or wrong way. That's me telling my brain, there's no right or wrong way. It's okay, you can do this. Starting to get hungry, which means I need to take a sip of my lunch. Last one's done. Oops, don't want to grab that needle. So I don't know if you can see how I did this extra little thing on, and I was trying to do it on the same side of each petal. Scraping that needle on the surface of the fabric. That's a good way to ruin your needle. Okay, time to put the Invisifil thread on and do pebbles, and this is a good time to ask questions. I have been peeking, but I don't. Yes, I am going to carry, that's our denim thread. Jean stitch thread is what that is. I have a bobbin of it right here to show you guys just how thick it is. Know what that is. See how thick that is? That is what is in the middle of this. So it's a blanket stitch, but it's really, really thick thread. And this I ordered as well. And this is a ribbon that when you stitch it down with a sequins ribbon foot ends up being, looks like someone did some hand embroidery. If you didn't watch this 2 weeks ago, all of that is on there so you can see how I did it. I'm changing back to the Invisifil. This is the 100 weight thread for the pebbles. So I won't be changing thread anymore. We'll be able to get this done. I'm going to take a sip of my lunch. I'm going to mute myself so you don't have to hear me. I don't think I cut it all the way down. See how I have to be careful as I pull it out not to get the needle on the quilt. Whereas the foot is usually holding it if you use a foot. Oh no, that's right. This applique was done before I did the quilting. So you don't see what it was. And I don't have it out. It's put away because I was ordering it. It's something they've been trying to get me to buy for a long time, and I finally doing it. have plans to bring lots of goodies into our site, but we have to be able to add it to the site. And we're already 4 products waiting to be added to the site. And my son is the one that has to do all that hard work. So I have to create the images and create little videos for each of the products. And then he's doing all the back-end programming. So he's like, whoa, Mom, no more. Wait a little bit. Let me catch up. And he's moving right now from his apartment into a house. And he lives in the Seattle area. Yeah, this is a very unusual ribbon. I would be shocked if there's very many dealers that know about it. I have quite a mess on the table, as usual. So let's see. I can't remember the name of the ribbon, I already tell you. It's quilt something. And I think that's part of it. It's like too many things are named quilt. It's like, well, quilting, you make a quilt, you piece a quilt, then you quilt a quilt, and how you quilt a quilt determines what kind of quilting you're doing, whether you're stitching in the ditch or you're quilting as you go, or piecing using foundation paper piecing versus English paper piecing. And it can get a little bit confusing. So if any of you get lost on it, do not feel bad. Now I really want to just iron this to get rid of all of the red ink, and I think I'm going to do that because it'll just distract me, and I got to make my circles. I cut all my threads and I put them in a pile, and then I grab them all at once and throw them away. I thought maybe I had another spool of that over here. All in good time. I'm going to use this as an ironing pad because the quilt itself is batting in it as well. And then, because nothing is level on my table. So you guys are both down in the Phoenix area, and you guys could get together and sew together. Oh, I should show you, huh? So there is red writing around there and the B in the middle, and now it's gone. Just like that. I'm a little bit off screen. My cameras are not lined up the way they usually are. I don't want to ruin my Caterpillar. And the Caterpillar is the light tablet. It's going to look a lot neater now that the red ink is gone. It is, I think it's really fun. This really is a good opportunity for me to make sure nothing is puckered on the bottom because I folded it up in between episodes. I also have no quilting at all on the back. Right here in the middle. Well, it's a placemat. That's what it's going to be. So it's not that big of a deal. More of a table decoration. But now's when you want to clean up any messes that you have back here, because they're going to get stitched permanently into your pebbles. I have the hardest time remembering that word when I want to say it. Unfortunately, some of it's going to be not perfect. Make sure you cut your thread so you don't have this kind of thing happen. It's just going to be sitting on my table. My family won't be looking at the back. If this were something I'd be entering into a contest, I would definitely be working harder to get all of that back up to the top. But hey, you can see, not perfect. Not absolutely perfect. This is the flower I did when I had a piece of thread stuck in my bobbin case that was not connected to the bobbin. And these colored threads are not part of the stitch. So if I can neat and tidy it up enough, later on I can do this off camera and get it all the way cleaned up. I'm feeling to make sure I don't have any bobbin thread carryovers. I was pretty good about cutting my thread each flower. We will clean this up another day. I'm talking to myself like there's more than me in the room. I just joined a hiking group up here. Now that my knee is feeling really good. And a lot of them are young, so I'm like, is there anybody my age in this group? So I don't feel pressured to overdo it until I'm strong enough to go faster. I don't even know how people hike down in Phoenix. It's so hot. Almost done with this. So I am going to go around the flower a little bit because it's better for the washing later. And it should be interesting. I actually may want to put a foot on for this. I'm going to give it a try. I really don't want to detract from that beautiful thread that I have there. I'm going to go on the outside of it. Where's my handle? There it is. In the beginning, you may hesitate to use the handles, and then after you get the hang of it, you'll be like, where's my handles? If you leave it in the hoop, it can, I don't know, I'm not going to tell you where to put it because people lose them. I don't know where my, there we are. And I'm not the one to help you because I'm always losing my glasses. Pull on the thread, make sure that needle deflects. See, it doesn't. And my foot was up. Now it's, see, I had threaded the machine with the foot lowered. And that would have been a disaster. I'm way too close to the mic and too far away from the machine. I need to rest my elbow back on my pad. That is the bob thread. Why can't I grab it? Must use these tweezers for something other than thread. There we go. I can't blame it on anybody else. I remember my dad used to blame his tools being lost on us kids. A lot of times it was me. I had a nice conversation with him yesterday. Talked to him for a couple hours for his birthday. And we talked about the past when he had a dealership and I worked for him, and how the Singer store was 2 doors away from his dealership. And he, all of a sudden we heard all this banging in the parking lot. And he goes, go see what that is. And I said, I can't believe you sent your daughter out to see what the violent banging noise was all about. And he goes, well, I didn't even think about that all these years. So they were destroying all the Singer sewing machines. They were literally beating them up with a sledgehammer, all of the used sewing machines, and they threw away all the parts. At one time, that's what the Singer stores did. Isn't that awesome? I'm able to go through all those thicknesses without a foot. So now I have a nice circle to hold the center of this, and I'm gonna go around these as well. In part, why this is doing so well is that super universal nonstick needle. And if you watch the lesson on this applique, you'll know that this is held on by just my liquid base glue. And the bigger petals are held on by our Fuse and Fuse. And this is really, really thin thread, so I'm not trying to get it to show up. I'm just securing. The sound had gone off, but I think I got it back. funny, the microphone gets tired every now and then and just decides to shut off. Come on, Mike. Now we have interference. Can't have interference. Quit your feedbacking. Is it off now? Yay. All cleaned up. It's very weird. There we go. Almost done with this. So if I didn't do this when this laundered, that was, you may have seen battings talk about inches and how far apart your stitches should be for the batting. And that has to do with if the batting gets torn from someone sitting on top of a quilt. If you stitch it this many inches from one another, it's less likely to fall apart or ball up inside your quilt and make your quilt lumpy. And the bamboo batting does not need to be as close as other battings. But you still don't want that big of a space. Now I'm going to do some pebbles. Pebbles a circle, and then do another circle. Now where the two circles come together, you want to balance another circle on top of it. So think of every time you see this little V shape, that's where you want to place another circle. And I go around twice. Once, twice. Now on the second pass, I'm going to go around and make a circle. And I vary the size. So now I'm going to go bigger and go around twice. Now over here, I have a little space, and that I make a small little circle there. Now I go big. Here we have another V. I don't know if you can see this thread. It's pretty light color. And around again. And we just keep repeating that. And what makes it look like pebbles is not making them all the same size. Well, that was the longest the iron has stayed on. And circles are pebbles. So if you say, I am going to sew some pebbles, your brain really doesn't know what the heck you're talking about. So you need to say, I'm sewing circles that are different shapes or different sizes. Circles. and speak out loud to your brain, circles, then you'll draw circles. Circle. It's very rhythmic. Went around 3 times that time. Circle. And I find myself every once in a while not doing circles, and then I have to rein myself back in again and say circles. So I went around the satin stitch again because there was no stitching on the back. So when I flip this around, when I'm done with the pebbles, I'll show you and explain it again. The applique was done before the sandwich was put together, before the batting and before the backing. So if you were to not stitch around that and you wash this, it might shrink up weird. And that is why you don't want to leave large voids where there's no stitching. You don't need to do this close though. You can have bigger spacings with the bamboo batting than you can with any other batting. Or polyester can also handle that. This kind of has the feeling of these are flowers that are floating in the water. And now these are bubbles. And they're also circles. Circles. Another circle. Go to the V and make a circle. Go to the V and make a circle. Making sure you don't make them all the same size. You're not trying to make flowers. Make circles. Very, very light touch on this, letting the quilt float. And my light is very dim for me so that the camera doesn't squint. Notice my speed is a good consistent speed. I'm not changing it. I'm not going faster and slower. That makes my brain not have to think about how fast things are going. And it is a good idea when you're stippling, and that's kind of what this is. It's a Pebble version of a stipple. But stippling is whenever you stitch and you never go over where you've already been. This is quilting because you're stitching over where you've already been. And both are right. Neither one is wrong. But when you're doing these, also known as fill-in stitches, to fill in large areas, it's a good idea to start in the center and work your way out because you'll get stuck in the middle. I was doing my dog walking bag, which also has some quilting on it. Part 2 of the dog walking bag live feed. I did some quilting on that and I got stuck in the middle and I couldn't figure out how to get my way out. So when you have a larger area, I will move in a side to side pattern so that I don't get stuck in the middle. But this speed is a really comfortable speed. My eyes can see. I could go faster if I had to, but I wouldn't do as good a job because of my eyesight. You have to be able to see where you're going. If you can't, then you need to slow down. And And now I'm hearing that song in my head. Slow down, you move too fast. Got to make the morning last just. Are you guys singing with me? Because I can't hear you. Getting a rhythm going. No longer circle. I did an oval, so now I have to tell myself again to do circles. Circles. It's only 5. I have an hour. I can keep going. So I personally, if I'm making a quilt, do not like too much fill-in stitches. I like a fluffier quilt because it's softer to sit on. It doesn't weigh as much when it's on top of you. Because a lot of thread, well, it can end up being heavy, and that's another reason to use Invisafill, is that it's a thinner thread, so it doesn't weigh as much when you do a lot of the stitching. And I could definitely have gone down to an 80-12 needle. I'd get smaller holes. It would look better. I think a lot of people get going and they just go, you just kind of feel like you're supposed to fill it all in. Shouldn't have any space where there isn't some stitching, and it's almost like the I want to embroider brain kicks in, but we're not embroidering, we're quilting. And those areas that you don't quilt stay higher than the areas that you do stitch. And this would have been good also to use 2 layers of batting, because it's going to go on my table and be used as a placemat centerpiece on my table. I know not to put something really hot on it, but a guest may not. So when I make generally these kind of things, I use 2 layers of batting, or I go to the 6 ounce batting, or go with a polyester. Polyester is not as soft, though, as the bamboo. The bamboo has this wonderful, soft consistency. It has drape that is similar to the fabric. It stretches like the fabric does. And we haven't added the 6 ounce batting to our website yet, but we will be soon. And it is really, really interesting. I want to teach you how to use it before we release it. I'm going to write a blog about it so you understand the differences in the battings. I don't know if that'll be next month's blog or not. So when I drew around these pieces or these designs, I went around twice. That way you can't see your start and stop. Each pebble, I'm going around twice as well. So see how I'm ending on the end and I didn't get stuck in the middle. And that is the reasoning for starting in the middle and working your way out. And a lot of quilt patterns are designed that way too. They're designed for you to go start in the middle and work your way out, and you don't have to stop and tie knots as often. But the flowers I chose to do on this pattern required all that starting and stopping. This will be another time for the scissor hold, and this time with this hand. a good practice is to, before you begin, is to draw over your fabric with like the handle like this. Go, which direction do I go in your, so that's the movement I'm doing, circle, 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 but I'm going and making some bigger and some smaller. And this fabric is perfect for pebbles because it has a very subtle color scheme, kind of gives the illusion of shadows. And the reason I'm able to maintain my speed like this is because I set it on cruise control, or what's that called again? I used my speed control. I have it set so I can push all the way down and the machine won't go faster. That stops you from getting startled by a sudden burst of speed on your machine. I could probably go faster. It's also not a bad idea to warm up on the same thread quality, fabric, batting, everything the same that you're about to use, and get a feel for it before you work on a project that you've spent a lot of time piecing. I didn't make a circle again, so now I have to talk to myself. Circles. We want circles. Corners are a little tricky, which is easily resolved by not cutting your quilt down to size until after you quilt. But I like to show you how to handle things when you don't plan ahead. Circle and circle. This would be faster if I did bigger circles. I'm starting to get sleepy, so relaxed. Words I never thought I'd ever say on free motion. I never thought I'd ever get to where I wasn't stressed because of all the work that you put into something before you do the final quilting. But I have arrived at that, and you can too. So see how I just totally reposition myself because I'm at a corner, and a corner's tricky. But you might be like me and get a rhythm going and not want to stop. Try to resist that childish behavior of not wanting to stop. And take the time to stop and reposition. Circles. Took a moment to be quiet, felt good. It's definitely easier than regular traditional quilting. There's no way that I could go this long without my hands cramping if I were to use traditional method of pushing down. So we want to pinch the batting in between the two frames when we get close to corners. And you can also bring the corner of the hoops to the corner so that you actually can stitch up to that corner spot. I used to get sore 5 minutes in. How long does it take you guys to start feeling stiffness in your hands and maybe pain in your shoulder blades when you do quilting without our hoops? These are free motion frames. They don't attach to a sewing machine, so they're usable on any machine that can do a straight stitch. And we're not using a foot. The hoop itself is a foot, eliminating the need for a foot. And a pebble is a circle. Say circles. Making sure that you don't do all the circles the same size. Placing the next circle on the V where the two pebbles come together. First time I did pebbles, I was so lost. It's like, what is it? This is so difficult. Why am I having such a hard time doing these? And then I thought about it and I go, well, I probably need to tell my brain I'm doing a circle. Circle. And I'm not just saying this stuff out loud for your entertainment. I actually do this when I'm alone. I will say circle. 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 Got a little bit more speed going now, so I got quieter. The increase in speed is making me have to slow down my speech. And I guess it has something to do with the fact that your eyes are actually a part of your brain. So if your eyes have to work harder to keep up with the speed, it's more work for your brain. All right. Where are we at on time? 5:17. Well, we definitely will not be binding it today. Circle, circle. Circle, circle, I end at 6 o'clock my time. Sometimes I end earlier. I mean, I would if I were done earlier. And we're doing our circles. Whoopsie. Make sure your quilt's not stuck on anything. And I do go live every Thursday at 2 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Slide the bottom frame up, top frame goes, and then bring the corners together. Drawing with the handle back here. I'm moving my fingers. That's how I'm making such good circles. Instead of trying to move my whole arm, both arms, and try to make circles. We're not pushing down at all as well, which makes the quilt float above the body of the machine. This second frame beneath here glides over the surface of the machine. They don't move together until your non-dominant hand brings the corners together. You don't have to squeeze hard. When you bring the frames together, there's no more together than together. So you don't need to squeeze those frames hard together, because mathematically they're the same shape in the corner, and then they kind of lock together without the need for any clamps or screws. And around and round and round I go. And where I end up, nobody knows. At some point we'll be done. Circles. My brain wanted to do figure eights, and so I kind of nudged it by saying circles. Going around every circle twice. And all this stitching, I have not had to change my bobbin, you guys. This is why the Invisifill is so awesome in the bobbin. It takes a while to wind one, but you don't have to wind one for quite a while afterward. In the V, where the two circles come together, is where you place your next circle. And not all of these circles are the same size, which makes it look like the bottom of a riverbed. And I'm so relaxed. When I come close to the edge, I pinch the batting into the frames. And there's nothing pushing down on these frames, so there's no resistance on the machine. You will not have pleats and puckers on the back. Elbows down, shoulders relaxed. Don't go faster than your eyesight can handle. Now I'm at that spot where I don't want to stop, and I really should, because I'm starting to make them all too small. It's like this little kid in you or in me, and it goes, I don't want to stop, I'm having fun. And if you don't stop and readjust, you can regret it and have to rip out stitches. It's so much easier to do this with our hoops than free motion without. Circle, circle, little circle. And I knew that I didn't go up in here, so I'm working my way back around the petal, or around that flower. And I am peeking every now and then to see. I don't know what I made you laugh about. It's been too many minutes. Oops, 3 times around. Because I was going to get stuck doing the end instead of going to the middle. Middle first. That way you don't get stuck. Trying to figure out how to get out. I'm gonna love having this on my table. What did I make you guys laugh about? I can't remember. At some point you might get tempted to just go and switch to big giant circles just so you get done faster. But just remember, that area will definitely show up. This is Miss Jetty. This is the Baby Lock Crescendo. But any of the Baby Lock machines, or Brother, or New Home, Elna, Janome, Vigorelli, Kenmore, Riccar, White Westinghouse, Montgomery Ward, JCPenney, Viking, Husqvarna, Bernina. Am I leaving any out? Some of you may not have ever heard of the Vigorelli. As long as you can sew a straight stitch with your machine, even a featherweight can do this. I have a featherweight, I just need to get it serviced. My eyesight just isn't very as nice as I like, so I'm going to take it in and have the dealer in my area service it. And then I'm going to bring it out and I'm going to do some featherweight sewing with our products. For those of you who have one and have wondered if you can use our feet on your featherweight, you can. You just can't do everything that you can do with a machine with a zigzag stitch. But you most certainly can do free motion quilting on a featherweight, and machine embroidery, and tatting by machine, couching. And of course, if you have a sewing machine with a zigzag stitch, you can do all those things as well. Are you saying you're going home, Tina? I end at 6, no later than 6. So I won't be binding this tonight. But I might get it done. I'm not sore. Don't start doing all big ones. Circle. So whenever my circles stop looking round, that's when I say circle. You'd love to have a featherweight? When I look back in time when we were a dealer, we had tons of those. I really should take it out of my office. It's on a shelf way up high, so I don't think about it very often. I think what I'll do is I will do half and then stop. There's no way I'm going to be able to do the other half. So I may as well save it for another day. Circle. Because I'm starting to want to do bigger circles. Bye, Pearl. Have any of you done free motion quilting for this many hours? 4 hours straight? Without Getting sore? Are you you're laughing about me ending early? Because that's funny. Because Claire never ends early. Circle, circle. It's so pretty. I was like, maybe I could save this for Saturday. But I can't because Saturday's my dad's dinner party. So I'm going to have to finish this before Saturday. Maybe I can get it almost done and do this on the VIP and do the binding on the VIP group. Or I may just do a how-to video again, finish this up on I don't know. This is me trying to figure out my to-do list live. Bye, Ellen. It's late for you guys, huh? You know, it sores the arms that rest because I'm not sitting how I normally would. I think I'm going to stop here shortly. I think it's a little redundant. But it is really hard to get yourself to stop. But I am going to stop because I didn't get to finish my lunch fully. I think you can see this well. And how many circles can you watch before you guys get bored? Isn't that neat? Isn't that a nice breakaway from this? Kind of looks like red work. And then you've got your applique. What a variety. Oop, there goes that needle. What do you guys think? Isn't that pretty? Fun project. And you have all the information you need to be able to make this, you guys, because this is season 18. No, season 2, episode 18 was this one. And then today we did the rest of the quilting and the pebbles. Now you can see what the back looks like. It has that. Wow, that's reflective. See now how we have the flower outline in the middle because of me going around that applique? And how there's no puckers anywhere. It has amazing body and texture to it. Pieces of yesterday's project started to carry along or get carried along. So I don't see any questions. Last time I was asked a question was what machine? I'm sleepy. I didn't have coffee today. Totally forgot. Feed dogs were up for 80% of the project today. I forgot to lower them because it doesn't really matter. I did finally lower them though. And this will be completely machine washable and durable because bamboo batting doesn't seem to decay as fast as natural battings do. Get that out of my face. So there it is, you guys. Isn't that neat? Mixing different types of quilt designs instead of always doing feathers. Of course, I do know how to do feathers, and I have shown them before. I hope you enjoyed learning this today and hanging out with me as much as I enjoyed your company. I will see you in the school. Those of you who are on the VIP or in the VIP club at my school, Create with Clare Rowley, be sure to not forget 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. We're the same time as California right now, as Arizona never changes. I'm going to put the link to my school in the chat so that you guys can join if you haven't joined yet. That's where I will put close-up photos inside of the Fabrically Speaking group. And the school's free, you guys. The VIP group isn't, and Creative Feed Extensive will be opening up this summer. It's not summer yet. It's almost summer. Is it summer? It won't be too much longer. There's the link to the school, and here's a link to my website. If you'd like to purchase the Octi-Hoops or the batting or the needles or the threads or the creative feet. And I would be using the Satinedge Foot to bind this if I had time to do that today. Look for the binding tutorial. It's in my YouTube channel. Inside of the playlist, Clare Rowley's Creative Notions, which is my recorded videos, kind of like a show, where I do projects all pre-recorded and edited down to as short as possible without losing the ability to follow along with me. And there's my website. So if you enjoyed today's video, please go ahead and hit that like button. And if you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I sure hope you'll do so today. Let's see, anything else? Guess that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye. Mwah. I didn't transition to the right thing. I thought I had it selected, but I didn't. That was funny. Take two. Thanks for watching. Bye.